Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya Royo, and here on this channel I talk about passive income streams and your way to make money online, mostly relating to the things that I am starting or I am doing with my own online businesses. Yes, this is the new intro. I'm just going with it now. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Q2, the second quarter of the year, April till June, which starts in about a day or two depending on when I post this video. And we're going to be talking about taking the analytics, the data, the experience from Q1 into lessons or refinement towards what we're going to do in the second quarter of the year with our business and with our lives, because I don't think that we can truly separate the fact that we have a life to live from our goals. And I have seen it with multiple people that when you only focus on the business aspect, you eventually fail in your own life, whether it's personally or socially, with your friends, with your family, with how you take care of your body, and therefore drag your business down with it. So I'm always going to be mentioning this combination of life and work or business when it comes to quarterly videos, which will be done every quarter. Now, this is our first quarterly video here on this channel, and I want to explain a little bit about this because it is kind of this new thing that I want to start and hopefully do for every quarter of the year. Following my last video in which I was mentioning how much this channel is going to change from what it was to what it will be, I did receive a lot of DMs from people who were talking about the fact that the goals videos that I was posting here almost every single month for the past 4 years have been helpful to them in setting their goals. But personally, for me, setting up monthly goals has never really worked. And I could see that looking back at my monthly goals, because I was either trying to do all of them and forgetting about myself, or I just failed one after the other and lost my motivation because, once you fail, once you fail, you kind of have failure in your head. It's actually the same concept of trying to increase your susceptibility to success and knowing I'm going to succeed, having that confidence because we've succeeded several times. And the biggest method that has always worked for me is to batch activities. I'm going to be discussing that later on. And when it comes to batching activities, that means that I can sit here for 2 weeks and film content on this channel for 3 months, and then take 2 weeks and film content for a different channel for 3 months, and then take a few weeks and write one book. And if we look at things that way, the monthly goals doesn't really apply to me. That doesn't mean that I don't have monthly goals. Some months have a specific designation for them or things that need to be done in that month. And also they are kind of driven from the quarterly goals. Now, if you do want to stick with monthly goals, feel free to take everything that I'm doing here, the lessons that I'm learning and how to implement them to the next quarter, just make them not from quarter one to quarter two, just make them from March to April. I'm apologizing for the long introduction. I kind of wanted to set the groundwork for what this video is about and what the other quarterly videos will be about in the future. And also, whenever you do something new, you get stressed a little bit. It's a brain reaction to new experiences. And when I get stressed, I talk. So that was a bit of a long introduction. But I would like to say that a lot of the things that I am saying here now relate to an email, a blog post, a newsletter, whatever you want to call it, over on my Substack publication that came out a few days ago that talks about how to close Q1. Because we do need to look at Q1 and analyze it first before we can move on to Q2. Those areas of how do I estimate my Q1 are not going to be in this video, but there will be a link down below in the description to the article about it so you can do it yourself. With that, I am going to dive into Q2, and a quarterly preparation for me based on the previous quarter is about asking yourself 4 different questions, which I will be asking so you can write them down. I will also be answering these questions in the way that they reflect on my business and the lessons that I've learned from them. And I know that for a lot of people, answering these questions is supposed to lead us to our goals, but there will be another step before that. And that step will be things that are happening in Q2 that no matter what business you have, whether you're selling print on demand or printables, or you're a content creator on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, you have a blog, whatever business you have, these events, these awareness months and awareness days and holidays might be relevant to you as they are to me. Now, if I do have to be honest with myself and I would look back at my 2025 New Year's resolution, a lot of the things that I wanted to do, I didn't in Q1 because I took Q1 to think more and to create art in my apartment and to do these things. So I guess this is a little bit different of a flow to it. But hey, if you guys started the year thinking you're gonna do one thing and whether it's not working for you personally or externally, that's a good lesson. Question number one: what worked well for me in Q1 that I can double down on? Now, answering this question can be done in the micro or in the macro because, for example, you can say that a specific design that you uploaded to your print on demand store sold more. Double down on that, maybe provide this design with more colors, maybe on more products, or maybe more things relating to that specific niche or the vibe of that design. That could also be that I sold a printable that is longer or has more pages than I usually make, and thus I need to make more printables be longer. That could also be that a specific Instagram post or Instagram reel had more audience or more engagement. How can I learn from that and double down on that? The things that worked for me in Q1 that I am doubling down on is the flow of my Manifestor blog publication over on Substack. So that is entirely dedicated for human design manifestor types, and it's been amazing to have this publication that posts a relevant, informative post probably, I think, twice a week or between 8 and 10 times a month. And it actually takes me one working day, whether I do it in one day or in 2 half days, to manage this publication. Because what I do is I just take this single time unit of a day, or again, split into 2 days, and just program these blog posts to come up as the month progresses. So that worked for me. I'm doubling down on that. I don't know if I'm doubling down on that because I'm not going to make 16 posts. I guess I'm continuing with that. Now, this channel also has a Substack publication, which I previously opened as a way to communicate with you guys, to keep in touch, have a newsletter, and mostly inform videos. But I was talking about this in my 2025 New Year's resolution that I need to put things where they belong. And a Substack publication is about content, not about watch this video. And so, what I wanted to do is to create actual content on my Substack, actual posts that talk about things and give value, which I think I managed to do in the first quarter of 2025. And I have seen a lot more engagement about that, whether it's personal DMs or comments on that, and even people coming in from Substack itself to watch or read, in that case, these publications and not just coming from the newsletter. So instead of just pushing out these notifications on email that there is a new video, now there is an actual article, and that article actually gets me more subscribers than just the people who subscribe from this channel. So I'm doubling down on that. I'm going to do that more, especially now that I'm going to be making less videos on this channel. So the Substack publication is going to be used to talk about industry news and other things that I don't feel are in my flow to make a video about. I wrote here that not making content worked for me, but I'm not gonna double down and make less. How do you double down on zero? What worked for me is the lesson from this that it's about listening to my body if I'm going to be filming today or not, if this content is aligned with my general purpose, or if this is just a piece of content that I want to do or feel like I need to do because someone else wants to see it, but it's not something that's coming from me. That has worked for me tremendously, and it worked by not filming, I guess, but now I'm going to double down on being more in touch with my feelings. So even if I say I'm going to make less videos, if there's going to be a month where I feel I have a lot to talk about, I'm going to make more videos. If I feel the urge to go live, I'm going to go live, and I'm just going to go with the flow of my body when it comes to creating video content, because I don't know what you guys know, but being on this side of the camera, you have to really bring your internal A game. Otherwise, you're just going to burn out from trying to speak to, well, no one in the room. And I don't think that this just relates to creating content, because if you've had a certain month where you worked in different brackets of time, so instead of working, 6 full hours on your business, you did like 2 hours in the morning and then like an hour in the afternoon and 2 hours in the evening, and your body feels better, maybe you should double down on that and continue doing that for the next months instead of falling into what society tells us that work looks like. In Q1, I actually started writing several books. I mentioned it in my previous video, and I feel like it really helped me because in each of these books, I'm reflecting on something that happened. So, in the first book that I'm going to publish, which will be about productivity, there are multiple chapters that tackle productivity from different angles. And in each and every one of them, I want to bring in an experience that I've had relating to productivity, whether it was when I was employed, whether it was on this channel, whether it was productivity when I was working, building websites and writing content for other people, consulting Etsy sellers, or even when I study something. And writing these books has really helped me reflect on my own progress and my own journey. So I'm doubling down on that. I'm going to write more books on more topics. And I feel like writing these books is helping me learn about myself, which is pretty good. Another thing that was working for me in the print on demand space was TeePublic and Spoonflower, which pretty much work by themselves right now. I don't really want to double down on TeePublic and create more designs. I don't think that they have any new designs that are selling, and I kind of like it to go with the flow of it, especially when commissions are so low. But I am doubling down on Spoonflower in the form of using it as a gap filler whenever I want to just dump some patterns that I have, because I do have a lot of patterns. And the last thing that worked for me in the first quarter was studying gene keys. So I started studying gene keys in the beginning of this month, and I'm really going through a personal journey. Um, and it has led to a lot of breakthroughs, whether it's with my relationships with people, with my relationship with myself, with my relationship with you guys, and with the content that I want to create. I actually sat down yesterday with a good friend that I haven't seen in a very long time, and he's more of a skeptic when it comes to, I don't know, spiritual stuff and stuff like that, even though I think that Gene Keys is more philosophical than anything else. But I was kind of worried about how he's going to react to me, buying a course and taking this on as a, I don't know, year-long project. And he actually just looked at me and he was like, "Is that the reason why you seem more like collected?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." So I'm doubling down on that and I'm continuing my studies with Gene Keys. However, in this case, I feel like my doubling down is actually doubling backwards because I'm not going to try and study faster or more. Actually, I'm going to limit how much I study in the next quarter because I don't want to run along the course pretty quickly. I want to have breaks within the course to learn something and then try and implement this in my life and then go back to the course. So my doubling down on this course, and maybe you can take it to anything else that you are learning or studying, whether it's a philosophical thing, a psychological thing, or even an artistic thing, is not to study more, but to study something and take a few days to let it soak in, to understand it, to practice it myself, and then study more. And I think that this is actually a really good analogy if you're studying, for example, illustrating with Procreate or any other software. You take a course or you take a class or you watch a video on a new technique or on something like this, and you learn how to illustrate something. So instead of trying to take another class to learn how to illustrate another thing, maybe you should double down on the first thing that you learned and try to recreate it again without the class, or use the same class to create something a little bit different, like the topic of the illustration is a little bit different, and really master that specific method before moving on to the next piece of information. Moving on to the second question that you need to ask yourself after you have studied your own Q1 and you want to progress into Q2, which is, what challenges did I face? How can I overcome them? Okay, so the challenges that I faced mostly in Q1, if I look at the personal, because again, the personal is very important when it comes to business, were mostly around moving my body because I live in a ski resort and my body has many orthopedic issues, and trying to go outside when it's minus 16 Celsius degrees or trying to go outside when it's very slippery is actually very not healthy for me. So I did have a lot of issues with moving my body and keeping it healthy and circulating when there were days where I just stayed in the apartment because I couldn't even go outside to throw away the trash, which, by the way, epic thanks to the management of this complex for picking up my trash from my door every day. You guys rock. But it did become a little bit better around the beginning of March, we celebrated Baba Marta, which is Grandma March. That's the beginning of the spring, and with Todorov Day. And we've had beautiful sunny days and beautiful weather. But then I hit another small speed bump in the form of problems with my stomach, which again affect my mobility, but I'm trying to keep my body moving. I'm trying to overcome them with the fact that if I can't go outside because it's too slippery, I can still sit in my balcony if there is sunlight. And if I can't go for a walk, that doesn't mean that I can't dance alone in my apartment just because I feel like it between tasks. So I'm trying to tackle that a little bit more. I'm also doing that while giving myself grace for becoming sick again. Um, because, what are you supposed to do? Be bummed out? That's not going to help you. Another challenge that I faced in Q1 was knowing how to structure my new business idea. And how did I overcome this? Honestly, by consulting a lot of people, by having an idea, bouncing it off with someone, and then refining it, bouncing that off with someone else. That is personally my system of doing things. And a lot of times, I feel like it's not about having someone else give me feedback on what they think of my project. Maybe it's my personality type, but I know what I want to do. I don't need someone to tell me what my direction is, but it's either gaining clarity from talking things out loud with someone else, or literally while talking, understanding what is the problem, what is my hang up, what is my issue, and even seeing that someone else has that same issue or had that same thought just helps you feel, I guess, not alone in your business. I also feel like I kind of got stuck on the wrong thing. Like, I want to write a book, which, you can open any software. You can open, like, Google Docs or Pages or Word and just start writing. But I was so fixated on, am I going to post this on Amazon KDP or on Booksby? And both will have different measurements, as if I have to start the book writing it on the correct measurements that it will be uploaded to instead of just freely writing it. And those contemplations really prevented me from starting to write my books or my book earlier in the year. And I have decided to go with Amazon KDP instead of Booksby. If you've never heard about Booksby, you can Google that. That's books.by. And if you want me to make a comparison video about them because it's relating to what I do, please let me know. I would be happy to share my thoughts. But eventually I chose Amazon KDP. And then I was like, okay, am I going to write my book directly on Canva? Which actually solved itself because Amazon KDP has really good Word templates, which for me, they go to Word X or to Pages because I'm with a Mac and I'm writing it directly on that. But I feel like that was such a big hang up for me from doing this. I feel like I've always had this even with websites. It's kind of like I cannot even think what's going to be in my website until I choose a website builder, which is really dumb because I can pretty much do everything I want with every website builder in terms of the basic things. But I feel like that has been a really big issue for me. And I don't know if I overcame this correctly because my way of overcoming the fact that I don't know what tool to use is to find what tool to use. But maybe I should take it further on, and the next time that I feel like I'm getting stuck with a creative process because I don't know where this video is going or I don't know what tool am I going to be using, maybe I should just start it up or write notes about this and not let this inner discussion of what tool am I going to use come into place. And maybe this could be an analogy for people who are working on printables or people who are working on print-on-demand merch for a specific niche and they feel like they can't get started with the designing process or creating the product process before they know what marketplace or what platform they're going to be selling it on. Maybe just start for yourself and just change it later on and make it fit more to the platform that you chose. Another big problem that I had this quarter was not being able to see the bigger picture of certain projects that I had in mind. And actually, ChatGPT really helped me out by outlining different points and breakthrough points and literally asking ChatGPT if something is missing in my business. Yes, I'm working on a ChatGPT video. I got the DMs. I am working on that. I also had some technical issues that I've had problems with this month. Some of them were incredibly dumb, like trying to move a domain from Hostinger website builder to use that domain for my fourth wall store, but that domain has an email attached to it. And if I move it to be hosted on fourth wall, that email box is basically gonna, disappear. So I was kind of stuck on that. I wanted to move mailroyo.com to be used on fourth wall for a very long time. but that was keeping me kind of stuck. And eventually I thought to myself, whenever someone has a problem with doing a technical thing on a platform, I tell them, ask the platform. So why am I asking myself? So I went on and spoke with Hostinger support on chat, explained the problem to Cody, their AI, and he tried to help me with a bunch of DNS stuff, but I feel like, I only had one coffee, so I wasn't able to perceive that. I asked for a real representative, and after the email representative explained to me that I'm not going to be able to use the manual domain retrieval of Fourth Wall from Hostinger because I don't want to lose my email. I'm going to have to do everything manually. I was looking at all of the manual things that I need to change, and I literally wrote down, that sounds very stressful. There are a lot of, details and logs to log in to your DNS records. And the support person from Hostinger was just like, would you like me to do that for you? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know that was an option. And so I went, made myself another cup of coffee, and I came back and my website was fixed. It's like, I'm looking at this now and I'm laughing because I spent 2.5 weeks probably not doing anything because I felt stuck, that I wanted to move something from this builder to this builder without losing my email. And I never bothered asking anyone from support from any side. I just had it stuck in my head. So maybe the conclusion from that, and you can take it to your businesses if it helps, that if you have this something that keeps you busy in your head, not knowing how to take a certain technical action, ask support. Maybe it wouldn't have been possible. Perhaps it wouldn't have been. I'm not saying that everything is always fixed the way we like it, because at the end of the day, we're using platforms made by other people and they have their own technical restrictions and the things that they want to do. But obsessing about this for 2.5 weeks without doing anything was kind of dumb. So I learned from that. Moving on to the third question you need to ask yourself to start Q2 in the right way, which is, what process can you streamline or automate? Now, I am not a very big automation person per se. I don't really like the massive automation tools for uploading or for doing things, even with Instagram or stuff like that. I was never using these tools. I do like the scheduling things that are more within your control. So, what processes can I streamline and automate? And this is very different from anyone else, but here I wrote that for me, it's a lot about batch work. And it's not just about batch filming, because batch filming makes sense. I'm sitting here, I made sure that everything around me is organized, everything's quiet. I opened the curtains, I set up the set, I straightened my hair, I did my makeup. I want to say I got out of my pajamas, but this was my pajama. I put the camera on. And it's much easier if I were to film 2 videos today because it's already on. So that streamline makes sense, especially when I'm scheduling it for later. So basically, working one day gives me 2 pieces of content to be posted. But it's not just about that, it's also batch creating everything. For example, having that one day where I batch create for the Manifester blog publication on Substack, or having 1 week that I work on this specific task. I would always kind of drizzle to other tasks in the flow. I guess maybe, I don't know, jumpy personality, and I like to do a lot of things. But that is definitely the thing that has worked for me, and that is to batch. And I think that this could be, translated to a bunch of other things. Let's say you're making printables to sell on Etsy or on your own store. So you make one printable, and then you create the photos for that printable, and then you upload it to Etsy, like the mock-ups for that printable, the one that explains the printable. I said printable so many times that that word seems so made up right now. Really? Printable? Wow. Have we been using this word all this time? And it's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, and then you're creating the listing on Etsy. But if you actually think about it, maybe create several printables and then create the several mock-ups for those, like the photos for Etsy, and then batch upload them, because during that process, if you're batch uploading them to the same store and they have kind of the same topic, there is a lot of copy pasting that can go around that will help you out. In the same way that, for example, if I'm uploading stuff to my Fourth Wall store, I am either going to create one design and batch upload it to multiple products. For example, a t-shirt of that kind, a teacher, a teacher, a t-shirt of the other kind, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a mug, and a notebook. Or I am going to create several designs that fit a mug and then upload them to several mugs, because then the process of either duplicating one of my listings and just replacing the design and a little bit of details in the description, or the copy pasting of the description would work much faster for me. I can also batch place them in the same collection, and the workflow becomes much easier when you simply batch. So my streamlining automation is batching for Q2. The last question you need to ask yourself, question number 4, is what feedback did you receive and how can you apply it to improve? Now, in this case, that feedback can be your doctor telling you that your posture is wrong or something. I don't know why I gave that example. My posture is amazing. But that could be a feedback that you got from clients. That feedback doesn't always come in the form of feedback. I mean, if you have a client who purchased something from your Etsy store or from your fourth wall store, and then about 2 weeks 3 weeks after that they got the product and then they bought more stuff from you, that's a feedback. But of course, we also have the literal feedback of what people are saying, and we have the feedback, I feel like, of our body to what we're doing, and maybe feedback from other people. This month, honestly, my feedback was you guys liking the direction of the new content, so thank you for the positive feedback. I do know that a lot of people decided to not stay on this channel, which, as I said in the previous video, I'm fully okay with that, and I wish you all the best in the next chapters of your life. Now, the normal flow, again, is I sat down with myself, I did a lot of things to basically summarize how Q1 worked, and now I've had all of these questions relating to Q1 and how can I learn from things that happen in Q1 and take them in with me to Q2. So again, the natural flow would be to make our goals. But no, because we are creatives that work externally with other people, we really need to be mindful about things like trends, and those are usually found with awareness days, awareness months, and holidays. I'm going to start with April Fools, which is the 1st of April, and yes, you probably are not going to sell merch for that, but hey, maybe you should prank your audience or post something funny for April Fools, which, by the way, there is a chance that there will be a collective print-on-demand related April Fools thing. I will update you guys if that happens in the community tab of this channel and in our Facebook community. I'm really looking forward to that, and I really hope that this would happen. Now, April is also Earth Month, with the 22nd of April being Earth Day, and it's really great if you have, for example, ecologically friendly items. If you're selling organic cotton or upcycled or recycled products, or creating content relating to DIY crafts or anything like that, placing it under Earth Day can really help you out. Or again, Earth Month. Earth Day, the 22nd of April, and April as a whole is Earth Month. Now, it is also National Gardening Month, which I actually thought to myself to be using that as an example when I do some stuff with ChatGPT later on in the month. And again, it's amazing for anyone in the gardening niche or selling designs relating to gardening or affiliating planter pots or creating content on how to make beautiful gardens or plants. April is also National Decorating Month, which I feel like is the most associated with print on demand. And if Society6 wouldn't have massively forked up their entire platform, this is usually the month that I say to everyone, if you have a shop on Society6, push, 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 because it's National Decorating Month. And they, I think, have the most amount of decorative items out of all the print on demand marketplaces. Even though we have Spoonflower now, well, we always did, but now I have Spoonflower instead of Society6, and if you want to learn more about how to sell on Spoonflower, I will leave a link down below to the full Spoonflower playlist that had loads of videos, so you can create fabric-based home decorations for Decoration Month. I was actually thinking how these can apply to a new niche that relates to self-improvement and self-empowerment and self-love. Maybe something about decorating the space with things that you love could make its way into the new content that I will be making, because again, we need to look at these dates, these awareness days, these awareness months, these holidays, and try to think, how do they apply to my niche, and do they? Because maybe they don't, and that's okay too. Another monthly celebration throughout the month of April is that April is National or International Occupational Therapy Month. It's also Frog Month. I put some stuff here that are just funny. It's also Stress Awareness Month, which is great for my new content, Physical Wellness, and Move More Month, which I plan to do in April unless it's going to rain. so much. I was even thinking if that relates somehow to here, how to keep your body moving and your health moving when you're working from home full time. I do know that some of you are working on your side businesses from home, and your actual job or main income comes from going outside and working outside. But for those of us who only work from home, that could take a very bad toll on our physical health. So maybe something about that. We also have Easter Sunday on April 20th. I was actually trying to see if it's different this year because I know that some years we have two Easters, but I can only see one when I Google it. If someone knows the other date of Easter this year, please let me know. But it's Easter Sunday is April 20th, and maybe you don't have enough time to create a lot of print-on-demand items for that, but printables still go, especially content for actually discussing and conversing with your audience about things relating to Easter, or if you're Jewish, between the 12th of April and the 20th of April is Passover. Now, I did want to double down on the fact that I started selling a lot of Passover. Now, I did really want to work on more Passover related patterns for my Spoonflower store because they have started selling. And then I told myself, Passover is on the 12th of April. Like, no one's going to buy anything now. And then I woke up this morning and saw email notifications from Spoonflower that people bought more of my Passover related fabrics. So I guess I should have doubled down on that instead of limiting myself and thinking that there is no time. Moving on to the month of May. Again, this is a quarterly estimate. So May 11th is Mother's Day in the US. Plan accordingly. The 26th in the US is Memorial Day. And May is also Fibromyalgia Awareness Month. Yay! Creative Beginnings Month. So that's pretty cool too. Homeschooling Awareness, which could be great to anyone selling educational, pretty much anything. Drumming Month, which I find to be very coincidental because a good friend of mine that I haven't seen in so many years is arriving to Bansko on May, and he's a drummer. So it's Drumming Month. It's also CFS Month, which stands for Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. It's also Zombie Awareness Month. I don't know who makes this stuff up, and I don't know why May was selected to be Zombie Awareness Month, but do we need to be aware of zombies? Is there like, I don't know, Werewolf Awareness Month or Vampire Appreciation Day? So yeah, Zombie Awareness Month. And if you think that this cannot relate to anyone doing anything other than, print-on-demand items with zombies on them, I was telling my ex about this yesterday, and I was laughing at the Zombie Awareness Month, and then I look at him, and he's like, I need to make a video about that because he's doing ASMR coding videos in nature. So either be dressed as a zombie while coding or having zombies in the background, like coding in the apocalypse. I feel like a lot of these things, a lot of these awareness days or awareness months can come to us as an actionable thing. It's decorating month. I'm going to be selling things that people can decorate their house with. It's zombie month. I'm going to design zombie designs, or just an inspiration of your general flow with the content and the way you engage your audience. Again, he does ASMR programming, coding videos. So he found an inspiration from Zombie Awareness Month. May is also Sleep Better Month, Mental Health, Meditation, and Physiotherapy Month. I feel like I chose the right quarter to start a channel about how to be better. Moving on to June. June 15th is Father's Day. So anyone wanting to design gifts for dads, I would recommend starting around April. And of course, put it in your goals. We also have June as Pride Month. So that's important for anyone in the LGBTQ plus niche. We also have Entrepreneurs Do-It-Yourself Marketing Month, which is probably where I'm going to be talking about, I don't know, cheap marketing techniques or free marketing techniques. That could be a cool topic for June. It's also Camping Month, which is really cool for designs, for niches, for talking to your audience, or fork work. Just go camping. It's also Yogurt Month. And Roses Month. So maybe I should make a video of myself sipping yogurt and sitting amongst roses, which is actually not as far-fetched because I live in Bulgaria, the land of yogurt and roses. It's also PTSD Awareness Month. Again, massive content that I can think about in my scope of dealing with panic attacks, how to make panic attacks shorter, stuff like that, coming from many years of therapy for PTSD. I don't know why I'm laughing when I'm saying PTSD. I'm just going with it now. And it's also Rebuild Your Life month. The last thing that happens on June is that the 28th of June is my birthday. And every single year I do something for my birthday on this channel. I have not decided what this is going to be yet. I've had a year where I was just talking about like birthday designs and birthday merch and how to design for birthdays. I had a year where I literally shopped from your stores. I think I spent like 600 euro or something like that. And I've had many years where we've done like contests and sales. So I am talking with Hostinger and Fourth Wall about what to do for my birthday this year, and I'll probably also talk to Repper, and we can do something cool. Or if you guys have any idea, for those of you who have been watching my channel for a longer time, what to do for my birthday this year, please let me know. Now, these are the things that are happening in this quarter in the world. But if I have to look at my things, at the end of June, it's also Bansko Nomad Fest, and in June, a lot of people start coming to Bansko, a lot of nomads, a lot of friends that I know. The town is a little bit different. So I do know for me that I would want to lighten up my load when it comes to the month of June, and I don't want to plan a lot of things to happen in it because I do want to be outside more. So let's say you have a family member getting married or a friend getting married in May. That should come into those things that factor into your goals. Otherwise, again, we're just doing business without life. And now, because this video is very long, my stomach is growling and I actually have to re-record some of the stuff that I was saying because it was too loud. Based on our conclusions, mathematics, reflections, answers to our questions, lessons, and the things that we have in this quarter. Side note, maybe put a little bit of the things that are happening in the beginning of July, like Independence Day in the US or stuff like that. But based on all of these, now we need to set our goals. And I prefer to give myself SMART goals. And that doesn't mean that these goals are smart. That means SMART, SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. I personally don't like number goals that are not in my control. So I would never have set a goal of I want to make a certain amount of money, or I want to sell a certain amount of things, or I want to have a certain amount of views or subscribers. I feel like that whenever I was doing it, it was more like aspirations than goals, or more like, a bucket list, because I don't think that we should have goals that we cannot control. So, given all of your contemplations in mind, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. What are your goals for the second quarter of 2025? And I'll share mine with you. Maybe that will be like a little bit insight for those of you who like journaling on a paper. This is how March looks like. I actually have 2 pages in my journal for each month. So each month looks like this. It starts off with some days and then more of the days on the other page. And here, as you can you see? I can't see if you can see. There is the Q2 goals, and every goal has this like little circle so I can check it off. And the thing is that if I didn't do that, then it will move on to May. And also my Q2 goals are in 3 different colors. The pink pen in my notebook is everything work related. The blue is anything relating to myself, whether it's self-improvement or what I want to do with my body, with my health, with my diet. And I have the grayish brown for things with other people. And here are my goals for Q2. And since the things that I'm doing professionally affect the content in this channel, it also implies what content will be here. I want to publish my productivity book. That means I need to finish it. I already did the initial draft, worked on the intro, and I spent, I think it was like a few days ago, finalizing the first chapter and really seeing what my flow is. And yeah, I think I need to print it in a printer and like read it from a piece of paper, because I feel like when I read it to myself on the computer, it's like I'm missing certain things and like typos and stuff like that. So I want to work, finish, and launch, upload, order my productivity book on Amazon. And I want to start working on my second book, which sounds ridiculous to me because I'm working on like multiple of them at the same time. But no, I want to already be in the process of going over the draft of a second book by the time the queue ends. I want to work on the mearroyo.com website, which is on Fourth Wall, to have some basic products relating to the niche that I'm launching. I think that also some of them are going to be printables. I want to continue doing the Manifestor blog Substack publication. Of course, I want to upload content to my new channel. I didn't write one video 2 videos, 10 videos. I'm going to listen to my body and go with the flow, at least for this month or this quarter. I want to create a new website for the new content type. I might even create a new Substack account for that. I want to upload patterns to Spoonflower whenever I have time. And for this channel, I want to create a video about ChatGPT and how I use it. I even had this idea to create like all the ways that ChatGPT can help you launch your business, especially when it comes to the lean canvas method, if anybody knows about this, or to make that as a video on its own. I want to do a video about Amazon KDP, my process with launching my book and how it looks like. I want to do a video about fourth wall from start to finish, how to build your store. Obviously, there will be a video about Q3 in Q2. Makes sense. We are in Q1 and I'm making a video about Q2. Logic. And I want to make a video about Substack. As for my personal self life, like not my personal life with other people, but with myself, I want to continue studying Gene Keys, but I do want to limit myself to not push too much and too further along with my studies and spend more time reflecting on what I learned. Okay, so I did write in my notebook that I want to read 5 books this month. And then I told myself that I want to finish 5 books this month. And then I said, you know what, I'm just going to go to the bookcase next to my bed and bring you the books that I'm currently reading. So I just started The Call of the Wild and White Fang. And I do have to say, reading a book that starts with a dog and what does the dog think and the dog's perspective while someone else is selling that dog, I started crying and put the book down. So we'll see about that. I haven't read The Call of the Wild in such a long time. I didn't remember it being so traumatizing from like the first page. I'm reading Existentialism by Thomas R. Flynn. I started reading How to Be Free. It's a general ancient guide of the Stoic life. This one is based on the teachings of Epictetus, which was, by the way, a slave for most of his life, and it's translated and with an introduction by A.A. Long. I started reading The Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, The Secret Garden, and yes, this is how I read books, by marking down the many, many things I would like to discuss about after. I started reading The Magicians last year, and I still haven't finished it, so I'm going to go ahead with that. For those of you who have seen the TV show The Magicians, this is a really kind of a big letdown at the beginning, and it's really hard to let go of how the characters look like in the TV show. I think it's like the first time that I'm seeing something on TV and then reading the book. Even like with Interview with the Vampire, and that came out like a gazillion years ago, I read the book first. Or there was The Horse Whisperer, I think it was called. I read the book before I saw the movie, and especially with Harry Potter. But this is the first time that I've seen something on TV or, movie or TV show and then read the book after. So it is kind of weird. It's much more slow paced than the actual show, but it's nice. And I want to finally finish Informed, which is the official book of the manifesting community for human design manifestors. It's a lot of how to do your life, which I'm, reading for fun. And if I have time, The Arabian Nights. I am in love with this book cover. It is just so pretty. I just love patterns in general. For those of you who don't know, the story of Arabian Nights is 1,000 fairy tales and tales that Shahrazada told the king so that he wouldn't off her every single night. So she told him a bedtime story, and eventually after 1,000, he agreed to keep her alive. Those include, by the way, things like Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, Aladdin, and tales like that. So really excited for that one. I love this cover so much. So going back to my goals, I want to go outside daily. I want to move inside the house. If I don't go outside because, I don't know, it's raining, temperature is weird, I'm a little bit off. Physical therapy, which I need to do every day regardless of going outside, and the practice of Tai Chi that I started from a very young age and I need to go back to with more routine, which is really nice because my drummer friend who's coming in May also studied Tai Chi in a monastery. So I'm guessing we'll be doing more Tai Chi together. So that's really nice. I want to work on my nutrition more. In the last week, I did not have anything fried. I only had 1 coffee a day. Nothing that could upset the stomach. And while I don't think I'm going to be this strict with what I eat after my stomach problems are going to, calm down a little bit, I do think that there are a lot of lessons to be learned from that. And I expect to have a little bit of a more sober summer. Not that I was less sober last summer. In all of the events here that we have, 2 beers are the maximum I drink per night. But I do think that it's time to replace those. with a yogurt drink or with coconut water or something that doesn't fizzle at all. Maybe some wine. This is such a longer video than I expected. I was like, hey, let me just film for 15 minutes this morning. Do I not know myself by now? And last but not least, a goal relating to people is that I want to start a jam session group that either meets up in my house or downstairs at the co-working. I personally know a lot of nomads who are extremely talented, who are traveling around, and most of them don't travel with their instruments, even though some of them do. But I have a guitar here, a ukulele, a tongue drum, which is epic, and a piano key set. And either have some people meet up at my place or use the co-working downstairs to create a weekly jam session that is purely for fun. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you will probably see that there. And with that, end my goals for Q2. I would love to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section down below. Maybe one of the goals that I set to myself is something that you want to set for yourself as well. Maybe you found Zombie Awareness Month as funny as I did, or you think that one of these events, one of these days, one of these holidays are more suitable for your business than the rest. Or maybe you just enjoyed the reflective part on the questions to ask ourselves for Q2. And I'll remind you that the summary of how to close Q1 is in the description down below in the form of a link to my Substack account, to the post publication on that specific topic. But with that being said, that was it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new or were at least entertained. We are done with Q1, almost done. I think it's like tomorrow or the day after that. So I wish you happy concluding and an amazing beginning to Q2. And as usual, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!